the Thursday, Friday long weekend concept. Yeah, December would be bloody great as well. Don't forget, one day, the Friday, say the second day of the workshop, we'll be doing a field trip up the Hume, which is going to be an absolute ripper. So what about if we go mid-September? Thursday, Friday, mid-September. Is that crazy? So what we're going to do on the first day, yeah, okay, so that's a thumbs up from Scott. I feel Gavin's getting he's getting approval. So the first day we're going to be out at Vineyard, and we're going to be doing in the field. Yeah, cool. In the field, pump curves. So planning the size of a pump we require for the task. We're going to be doing some surveying, and we're going to be planning out an irrigation line as well, which is going to be bloody great, actually. We're going to do that at the Onion Farm and also the Growling Frog Vineyard. And while we're there, we're going to be talking about larger pumping arrangements, including the recycled water. So more municipal size pumping, which is going to be cool. And then the second day, we're going to go to a very new winery, a new winery in an old building, which has been planned out by an absolute engineering master. And we're going to go through there, and we're going to probe them with nitty-gritty questions, and I'm just going to have a real winery nerd out, where no question can be nerdy enough. We'll be talking about why they chose different heights for the tanks, why they chose different tank configurations, fermentation tanks versus tanks, the different pumps they are starting afresh, the different presses and why they chose that press, what they had to do to get their drainage right and their wastewater system in a municipal environment, three-phase power, solar systems, off-grid power. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And refrigeration. Really, really good. So what we're going to do, yeah, that's it. That's it. You've got your physics on. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about where we're going to end. And what I've got on the screen at the moment is partly where you're going to finish this subject. So how this subject works is we build up towards a huge monster case study. There's no exam. There's a series of tutorial tasks or smaller tasks, and then there's 2 large case studies. The big one is our winery design. And I'm going to show you some wineries that were designed by students a couple of years ago in this subject. This one here was done by Max. You remember Max Xingma? And she designed everything about this winery here. So she used Google SketchUp, which she'll be doing for the first tutorial task, as well as a range of tasks from now on out. She designed every component of this. So what we've got is we've got 3 main buildings. We've got a cellar door and warehouse over here. We've got a barrel hall over here, and over here is her crush pad and tank farm. And then she designed it so you could drive the truck through. She didn't put a little truck in there. So what she's showing here is a range of different things that you'll be doing. You'll be designing your own winery from scratch. So the winery of your dreams, and we'll be seeing a few of them. You'll be populating this winery with paraphernalia, so tanks and gantries and forklifts and pumps and offices, Partly that you'll design the particular miscellania found in those yourself, as well as grabbing pre-made items that are found in shareware libraries on the internet. So, for example, the gantry system here, and when she submitted, this is just a JPEG screen grab of her winery, but the actual one she submitted, you can actually do a fly through of the winery, so you can get in close. You can do 360 degree rotations, zoom in, zoom out of them. So the gantry there, she actually grabbed the stair tiles and the actual non-slip stainless steel mesh for the gantry from a pre-made Google SketchUp equipment library online, and there's links to those. So she started with never using Google SketchUp before, and this is where she got to. As part of the subject, she also planned exactly why these are the tanks she wanted. As one of the tasks, she had to plan out all the batches that were coming into this winery and why this tank configuration was perfect for meeting their vintage requirements. So it's not jamming in any old tanks of any old volume. You're putting in the exact ones for a forecast vintage of 100 tons. And each of those tanks we can actually double check the volume of to make sure that she was right in the calculation she did. She used the height of those tanks and the distance from them to plan what size pumps she required for this winery as well. As part of another task, she planned out the size of the solar system and water tanks that she'd need to store the amount of water you'd harvest with these roofs, as well as use the sun, the solar insolation, the solar rays that this winery would receive, and how much power that would generate, and how much of this actual winery's function that would power. So really, it's a really in-depth look at how to plan a winery. So that was Max's one, and she really got stuck into it and absolutely loved it. Here's another really fantastic one as well from Samantha Watson in Byron Bay. She did a gravity winery, and I've taken a screen grab here. I'm probably not the best angle, but it can be hard sometimes. So this is a stepped winery where grapes are received up here and they flow through the winery like this and out. Yeah, that's right. So she actually calculated the amount of energy that she saved per batch using this gravity system. And then you can do a cost-benefit analysis to go, okay, this is the cost of the extra earthworks to allow for this gravity configuration, this tiered system of winery. Is how long is it going to? Can I pay it off simply from energy savings, or is it part energy savings and part a stylistic decision because I don't want to use a lot of pumps, must pumps, hoppers as part of my winemaking? So this was her approach to it. It was a really good one. This one was Sean Thornton's mega structure, which had just this fantastically ostentatious roof, suspended on those 4 narrow plinths. I absolutely love this one, including the detail he did in the barrel room here, and from memory as well, you could actually go into this laboratory and he'd part kitted out the laboratory. Like drive-through bottle shop or drive in with the grapes. So there's definitely a drive in with the grapes. If they'd integrated the bottle shop, that would actually be one of the most fantastic vertically integrated wineries. Yeah, that's exactly right. So forklift up into that hopper, and then pretty much gravity this one as well. He constructed this press all by himself as well. It took him ages, and he pulled out a lot of hair. But he did a really great job of it. Yeah, that's definitely drive through as well. Yeah, that's a good spot for it. This one here was Dale's. Dale's had a retractable roof, which was absolutely awesome. And I think here the motor and rollers for the retractable, the Barrelo. That is genius. I actually missed that pun, Gavin. That's very good, mate. That's very good. Yeah, so this is a retractable roof, which was awesome. There was like heaps of space in this one. We don't go into the cost of how much concrete pads cost because the square meterage of here was quite excessive. But he did put in solar panels here. Over here, again, I didn't do the greatest angle. It was hard with this one as well to get the right angle. This one I absolutely loved because it sort of showed the different provenances of the different students. This one was from Isaac, who's from the Barossa, and he made a real rustic sort of Barossa style winery, including with the sort of galvanized iron, corrugated iron on the outside. And again, this screenshot doesn't do it justice, but here is sort of a classic sunken South Australian hopper with a must pump, press, and then a series of tanks as we go through with barrels at the end. This one was absolutely awesome. And, part of the brief is to design the winery of your dreams. And he was really doing that, which was absolutely awesome. Another student as well. There's been a lot of other ones as well. One was done by a student and probably didn't quite get into the spirit of it because I'm pretty sure he paid for a designer to do the winery on Google SketchUp, and it was one of the most fantastic winery schematics you've ever seen. Okay, so if you want to increase volume, is that what you mean, Gavin? So do you want to make a winery that's not restricted if you increase your volume down the track? Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, and I think, well, it's how would you? I reckon. I mean, in many respects, most wineries are scalable. You add a little bit on. Have you seen if you're on Instagram, any of the shots of Owen Larder's winery up at Eastern Peak? If, in fact, that might actually be a better one to go to on the second day of the trip. I might actually speak to Owen, who's one of the nicest guys and the most handsome you'll see in the wine industry, apart from you, Gavin, and you, Scott. He's actually expanded the old family winery to about 3 times the size. That opened for last vintage. Yeah, he's the double threat. Makes good wine too, so maybe a triple threat. So if the winery that I was thinking about going to falls over, we'll probably go to that one, which arguably would be better. Yeah, it's actually a good thought. Good thought by me, but brought on by your question, Gavin. Yeah, but that's a good example of the scalability of any winery, I reckon, because they had a really old family winery. And then he sort of did a modern yet sympathetic addition to it. Really cool. And this one here was done by Leo, the Screaming Eagle. Absolutely sensational. I mean, what a great thought to do that sort of aesthetic to the winery. Yeah. If I was going to be critical of his winery, and I don't want to be, I think he may have overplayed the aesthetics and didn't quite do enough on the internals. Not to say that the internals weren't great, but it was this. I mean, that was just such great imagination that he put together. And I've got to say, his first tutorial task of Google SketchUp, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, was not great. Slightly disheartening. And then when he came up with this, and this is a fully kitted out winery, I must say, it was just absolutely fantastic. Really great vision. Yeah, that's a good point. You're on fire tonight, Gavin. Is this Jackie coming up with these gags? You're on fire. Yeah, so that's something to aspire to, and you know, there's sort of a full range of students there. Some put more effort in than others, and you can see how much you can get out of it. And I bat on about this a lot in like a few subjects, but I mean, if there's any time, yeah, okay, if there's any time that you want to just put in as much as you can into a subject, I reckon this is the one, because you can go absolutely wild if you like, and I really think you do. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go deep into the matrix here, and I'm going to attempt a screen share here. So bear with me, please. This could go horribly wrong. All right, here we are then. Let me know if you can't hear me, because I feel I've really gone deep into the matrix here. Can someone say something? Oh, Scott, I feel something's coming here. Yeah, that's it. What I'm going to do, did you just flick over to another screen? I've done this before and I did it a lot smoother than this. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go full screen here. Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over to here. Now you should see the Moodle page, and then I'm going to click back. Oh yeah, I reckon you did. I reckon you saw it. Did everyone see? Did we move to the? Did we move to the Moodle page there briefly? Going back. Going back. Oh. Yeah. Yes. Excellent. I've just seen it better. There's like a little screen that shows me that you can actually see that. So here we are on the Moodle page. I'm going to move our way down here. Probably turn student view on, otherwise we'll see heaps of like unnecessary. Switch role to student. Oh, here we are then. I should point out with this software as well that you can join via phone. It won't be nearly as good following those phone numbers there. There's also a mobile app for Click Meeting as well if you get stuck on the train or what have you. So let's go to assessments. Now, a classic thing that I normally do is don't update the deadlines, but I've put all the deadlines, I've updated all the deadlines for the assessment tasks. So the first one here, and I've put, I love this winery so much. This is David Chen's, I call the architectural majesty of his winery. Again, no one could actually fit into this winery, but the roof was just so fantastic and fractal. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Inception was a great movie. I'm pretty sure there is. I think you can watch everything on the mobile app. I have to test that one out. Yeah, that's the one. So the first task you have is due on the 8th of August. A little ways away. What's the 25th of July? So that's 2 weeks. Is the instructions found in the topic 1 lesson. And it's quite simple. You just need to produce a winery with 2 tanks and some walls. So it's a very nice little introduction. It gets you controlling space in the Google SketchUp environment. Gets you thinking about, oh yeah, I've made a wall, but is the wall actually of the correct dimensions? Because that's vitally important. From taking Google SketchUp from a glorified, paint to actually a functioning architectural tool. The tutorial tasks that are provided by Google SketchUp are absolutely fantastic. And one of the most important things it does is getting you to make discrete objects in Google SketchUp. One trap that people fall into, and it leads to no end of frustration, is that they create a tank purely by pulling a cylinder from the floor of the winery. Therefore, separate the winery from that tank, whereas really what you want that tank to be is a separate object all of its own. Why do we want that? That means we can copy it and duplicate it. It means we can move it around. It means we can determine the volume of it a lot more easily than if we've actually, Google SketchUp just thinks we're actually making a cylinder out of the floor. I think it's one of the very early tasks in that short Google SketchUp tutorial series that really encourages you to do that and really drives home the importance of thinking about making independent objects within Google SketchUp. Oh, fantastic. Good on you. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Do you mind if I post it up just to inspire? So in the first one, thank you. So in the first one, we're creating a mini winery. And it's those skills we're going to be onwards and upwards. Now, in tutorial 2, what I've done is made a really crappy winery with Google SketchUp. And what I need you to do with it, the way the winery is set up is there's 4 fermentation tanks at one end of the winery and 2 larger storage tanks on the other end of the winery. And what you're going to need to do is calculate the amount of pressure a pump would need to overcome moving wine from one tank to the other. There's going to be a maximum and a minimum amount of pressure for this. We're going to be going through pumps in next tutorial where we really get stuck into the subject matter. We're going to go through the concept of head in terms of pressure and how to calculate minimum and maximum head pressure for a pump. We're going to work out how to convert that into a power rating. And we're going to see how we actually over-spec our pumps a lot in wineries, where a lot of the time we have pumps far more powerful than we actually require for our transfer needs. And the reason we really do that is to speed up the operations. But if we just want to move wine from one tank to another and don't care about the length of time, we can get away with pumps that only have a power rating of in the tens of watts, rather than the normal pumps that we have, which are in kilowatts. Someone who talks about energy efficiency in wineries a lot is the great Roger Bolton, who's one of the most famous winery designers in the world. And he's an Australian and actually went to Preston Tech, which was the original Melbourne Polytechnic. And he now runs the world's most sustainable winery at UC Davis in California. It's rated as LEED platinum level. LEED is an energy efficiency rating, and it's the highest energy efficiency rating for a food production facility in the world, or it certainly was a couple of years ago. And he's a big advocate for planning your transfers and doing them slower, so you get away with lower rated pumps. So this is in the second week, and when we do this tutorial, all of a sudden we're doing some really interesting winery planning, and it gets us bringing numbers into a winery, but it also gets us into a position where we can go into a winery and have a look at a pump and go, okay, we'll be learning how to listen for certain signs of the pump and how that may show whether or not the pump is performing at its maximum capabilities or suboptimally. So that's going to be a real light bulb crack tutorial, that one. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll open up those notes after this, if they're not already. We're going to be showing how fixed lines, Gavin, always just cutting to the chase. That's correct. No exam for this one. So we've got tutorial task 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we report 1, 2, and 3. The practical exercise report 3 is going to be based around our field trip. So at the end of that field trip, at the end of it, we're going to sit there and we're going to go through and do a discussion about what we've seen and what we've discussed within the framework of that report. So that's going to be one of those bankers where you can bank some marks with that one by showing up and getting involved. We'll sit down probably with a beverage and go through each component of that. The real nuts and bolts of it really is, well, actually have a look here. So in tutorial 2, we talk about pumps. And in report 1, yeah, fair dues. Report 1 gets us to use our plans, our skills with the pumps, actually within, within the, with our new skills with pumps, and actually use them in the context of the winery that we're designing. So taking it from a little crappy example that I've put up, to actually your one as part of your planning for the winery. Because once you plan the winery, the next question is, okay, we've got to go out and go shopping. One of the greatest things ever would be to go out with a checkbook shopping to kit out a new winery. What pumps we're going to buy. And we'll get, every rep under the sun will be selling their pumps to you. And you can go, no, I want this one. I don't want a 10 kilowatt one. I want this one because this is why. Tutorial task 3, refrigeration. Probably not the most glamorous of topics, but also not the least glamorous. We'll be actually calculating how much refrigeration is required for different tasks in the winery. So, for example, when we want to cool a ferment, how much actual power, cooling power, does that need to cool a particular ferment on a particular day in a particular type of tank? So we can actually plan how much energy is required for certain cooling activities, or how many ferments we can do at once with a set amount of cooling power or cooling infrastructure, or how much cooling infrastructure we'll need to buy for a set winemaking plan. So we'll be talking about the compression refrigeration cycle, so learning how fridges work, and looking at fridges on a grand scale. We'll be looking at how chillers work, where we send wine to the chiller, and we'll be looking at secondary brine systems where we chill a liquid and send that to the wine, to cooling bands to chill the wine in place. Task 4, we'll be looking at solar power. We'll be calculating the solar power requirements for a particular winery. And then in winery design, you'll be going through all the batches required for the winery that you've made, including a maintenance schedule for that winery. Doesn't get more nitty gritty than that. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Here are some subjects. So what we got here? We got topic. Let me make a list out of these. This view. Let's look on the side here. Introduction to energy and electronics. That'll be opened up. So that's going to be the first tutorial next week. Yeah, they do solar-powered forklifts, actually. Well, they're battery-powered forklifts which are recharged with solar systems. They're quite popular, actually. But the force requirements, so the instantaneous power required from, I'm not sure if Tesla make them, but there's plenty of forklifts that are electrical. But instantaneous force required, so the newtons of force required to move to get the momentum going, can actually require a lot more current than can be generated by batteries. So yeah, I think you'll find that a lot of battery operated forklifts have a maximum lift. And you can calculate the kilojoules of power required to lift certain things. And then you can look, actually, let's talk about that next week. Next week, we'll have a look at, as an addendum to that tutorial, if we had a battery, what is the ability of a battery to output the power we need for the lift we need from a forklift. That'll be my little addition to the tutorial at the end next week. So we're doing energy and electronics, which is really cool. Pumps and designing pump systems inside the winery and out. Developing pump curves, which are critical. Winery refrigeration systems. Winery design, as well as irrigation design. Off-grid power systems. The maintenance schedule, probably again not the most glamorous topics. Wastewater systems, again not super glamorous, but I love it. Centrifuges, an odd one, but you've got it. Filtration, internal combustion engines, I've actually just got out of order, we'll go above there. And internal combustion engines will also feature a discussion on solenoids in the video. A lot of those topic names have a sort of a winery bent, but we apply those in the vineyard as well. Because at the end of the day, physics, a lot of this is axiomatic physics, which is applicable in any role you choose. If we go back to assessments, Yeah. Got the submission minimum standards. So this is a third year level subject, and I've got my submission requirements for everything that you put in for this subject. So it doesn't matter if it's a tutorial task or not. So I'm going to go through these for your benefit and the people watching the recording. First of all, everything must be justified full, and you'd know that if you've done one of my subjects before. So that's when you go to Word and you click the buttons, which means that every sentence always goes to the end of the word. You lose 5% if you don't do that. Spelling mistakes, apart from the use of Z in place of S, 5% each. Each. 5% each. Here's one that I like because it's quite subjective, really, and it depends how I'm feeling on the day. Sentences that I find hard to read, but at the end there's a very important line. Sentences that I find hard to read, which includes those that have not been proofread, 10%. That's not 10% each, it's overall 10%. This includes sentences longer than 2 lines. Poor heading structure, and there's an idea for headings. Poor headings, 20%. Tables and figures. Standard, the figure should go at the bottom, table should go above. File names with lowercase letters at the start. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. And without your name in. So, for example, if you type tutorial task 1, Gavin Dyson as your file name, what do you lose? 5%. It's actually generous because that's my, as a pet hate, I hate lowercase letters in the wrong spot, and I hate capital letters in the wrong spot, except when I do it myself, in which case it's absolutely fine. So you're going to be your file name. You've got to take some pride in your file name. And this is where 7 comes in, an overall discernible lack of pride in one's work. As I say here, this is an ambiguous requirement, but I love ambiguous requirements. And I reserve the right to enforce it. Penalty 10%. So you go into negative values here. Negative. And if you go too far negative, I'll be asking Latrobe to reduce the marks of yours from other subjects as well. That's what I'll be petitioning. I'll go to the Vice Chancellor on this and make sure that your performance in this subject leaks into your others as well. Here's a niche one. Any spreadsheet that you put in, we will be using lots of spreadsheets, that does not use cell referencing wherever possible. So, for example, you calculate the value of 10 in one cell, and then instead of referencing that cell in a future calculation, you just type in the number 10, 5%. Random changes in font size are no discernible lack of pride in one's work, 5%. Use of Times New Roman. I'm putting my, again, unless I do it, which is completely fine, but if you do it, 10%. But the big kicker at the bottom here, all penalties can be challenged after the assignment is returned. And certainly Gavin knows that I can be particularly unreasonable at times. And sometimes I change my mind on things. And 1 minute I don't want something, and the next minute I want it. So this is where this is where the important last line comes in. All penalties can be challenged. So I will be giving you, every assignment has a rubric in Moodle. And I will be clicking which box, and then I'll be doing comments. So if you did my marketing, took a lot of time, did in-depth comments for each one. It will say where you've lost marks and where you've gained them. You can challenge all those. And you can challenge them as hostile as you like, actually. Well, actually, you just got to match the tone of my marking. You can challenge up to that level of tone. Good. Here, so you straight off get 5% just for that. So yeah, so that's it's all listed there. So you can just sort of go through. I mean, the whole point of it is not to be a hard ass and an idiot, which I am, of course. But I just think these are a bare minimum requirements for a commercial report. And I do a lot of reports for consultants and stuff, and this is just all sort of classic for that. Yeah, so now you know. What is that? So I'm going to stop sharing now. Stop sharing. Oh, we're back. I think we're back. So tonight's an overview night, and then next week, what we're doing is we're getting stuck in. So next week we're going to be looking at electronics, and we're going to introduce pumps. And at the start of the tutorial, I'm going to go through my take-home slides from that. Oh, I should point out as well, actually. Yeah, no, that's right. We're going to do a couple of take-home problems. We're going to do one on force as well, just a little bit on joules and force. So each week we're just going to do a little review of all the other weeks. So just a little question from previous weeks. Then we're going to do my take-home messages from topic 2, and we're going to do a tutorial task, and then we're going to finish off with an introduction to the next topic, which would be pumps, and it's going to be extraordinary. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be really, really interesting. For example, when we go to pumps, we're going to look at the actual panel on the pumps that give the spec of that pump, and we're going to go, what does that actually mean for us in the winery? And same with electronics. How does an understanding of electronics actually help us? Actually, another exciting one I meant to say earlier. There is an optional task at the end that I'm just finishing off at the moment in the last little bit, where you can design your own solenoid system just with some parts from eBay, and I'll post up different parts. And it's you designing an automated pump control system or a solenoid system, just with little microcontrollers, which is going to be awesome because one, it shows us how solenoids work and relays, and also shows how messages get sent from a control box or PCB through to something that actually actuates that signal. So that's going to be an optional task at the end. It's an optional task because you have to buy some parts for that. It's like $50 worth of parts, but it'll be heaps of fun. Well, I find it heaps of fun anyway. So that's that for an introduction to the subject. So as I said, next week we're going to do some questions on energy. We're going to do some questions on, we're going to get my take-home messages from electronics and some questions on that, a little couple of tasks, and then we're going to introduce pumps. And make sure we've all got started on that first tutorial task. So we'll have a look at that as well. Absolutely loved having you guys on. It's bloody great to see you guys, even though it's in virtual form. Did we decide on those dates? Let's decide on those dates before we go. Yeah, look here. Just got my calendar up now. Year 1. September 14, 15. Gavin, you're good with this stuff. Oh, is wine camp on a Tuesday night, is it? Is that not? Geez, you're so quick on this stuff, Gavin. Is that not a Thursday, Friday? Yeah, it's a Thursday, Friday. Yeah, September. I always end up posting it on like I'll pick a date out of the air, and it'll always be a public holiday or a day of national mourning or bloody grand final day or something. So let's go for September 14th and 15th. Oh, okay. I gotcha. That's the Friday. Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's go for that then. That's going to be just so much fun. Oh yeah, that's cool. 21st, 22nd, cool. Yeah. All right, so let's go with the 14th, 15th, unless we hear it's like, something out of the ordinary. 15th, 14th, 15th September. I'm going to post that now live. I'm posting that live on page. 14th workshop. Oh, I'm cool with that. I don't mind. When's that? Or do you guys go on holiday then? Or? Hang on, I'm posting it live now. You can't. Oh yeah. Yep. How does that go with you, Scott? Right, I'm now moving to the week 4, 7th and 8th of September. It is now posted. It is now gospel. All complaints directed to Gavin. I should have put that up actually as part of it. I will do that. I'll change it to direct all complaints to Gavin. Excellent. Yeah. That makes sense. That's what I mean. Like when I plug dates out of the air, they're never right. Yeah, that sounds really good. So I've just posted up now, 7th and 8th of September. I'm going to plan for that. Yeah, cool. Well,